Imagine you got a job at a car company called Sunriders. For the next 10 years, you do a great job at your position and create a positive relationship amongst customers and coworkers. You're constantly getting complimented on how good you are doing and getting suggestions to move toward a managerial position. You think to yourself, hey, I've been here for about a decade or so, and I've done as much, if not more work than what's qualified to get a promotion, and I'm constantly getting recommended by my peers. Why don't I see if I can get it? So you go to your boss and ask for a promotion. Now, it's important to realize that you are an African-American woman. You're at a company where not only are you the minority, but there are no African-American women in a managerial position. But you go for it anyway, thinking you might be the first one. Well, your boss isn't letting that dream come true. Your boss, an older white gentleman, denies your application for the managerial position and states that you are just not qualified. Now, this would be a valid excuse if it had something to do with age, that maybe only people who've been at the company for a long time get to be in the managerial position. But your friend Cindy is a young white woman who's mid-30s that became a manager only 2 years into her work tenure. You've been at the company longer than her and most of the other managers. Well, maybe it has something to do with ability, but you've been getting compliments from everyone in the store and employees. People have even asked you to come and help them with their projects, even though they're in other departments. So what is it? Is it racism? Can't be racism because there's a black manager, even though he's a male. Is it sexism? Well, it can't be sexism because there's a female manager, even though she's white. So what is it? You ponder that question for maybe another week and you get back to work. For the next 2 or so years, you remain quiet about this dilemma that has troubled you. But now you are ready. 12 years is a long time to be at a company and you know everything there needs to know to be successful. So you go to your boss again and ask for a managerial position. And just like last time, he declines. Enough is enough. So you try to sue and take the company to court. The court denies your plea because they found no racial or sexist discrimination in the company's previous history. They tell you that you cannot combine what you believe is racism and sexism to fit your convenience. The courts basically tell you that there's no such thing as black women discrimination. You can either discriminate against black people, which are really black males, or you can discriminate against women, which are really white women, but you cannot combine the two. Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Turner. You've just witnessed an example of intersectionality. Well, it's more of an example of certain discriminations that are not exclusive but unique to a certain group of people, which is what intersectionality focuses on. But what is intersectionality, definition-wise, and how does it pertain to black women? Well, intersectionality basically says, you know what? I think my experience as a middle-class black woman are slightly different from a white woman who's in the top 5% of wealth. Not only are personal lives different, but the challenges that wealthy white women may face, like sexism, would be unique to her situation. For example, Sarah, the wealthy white woman, must deal with the distrust of her husband for not letting her access the savings because he thinks that women don't know how to handle money. Sarah says this is sexism and say that only women face this discrimination. She is technically right, but what she forgets in her generalized quote is that her situation is unique to her position. No matter how much financial income is in a household, there will be husbands that can be jerks and withhold financial privileges. Still, that relatability can be lost and changed depending on someone else's income, social class, and race. Like Jasmine, an African-American woman who would probably face not only suspicion because she's a woman, but most likely racism because, after all, she is an African-American. Now, let's take her out of Sarah's situation and place her to where she really is in the middle class. So it would be harder for Jasmine to relate to Sarah about how upsetting this situation is for her, even though they're both women and should relate to being discriminated against because of their gender. Listen, I know it's a bit complicated, but hang in there with me. Now, you know what? Let's have another example. There are two artists. One is an African-American hip-hop rapper named Tassa, and the other is a white American country singer named Taylor. If you know anything about the music industry, you know that they can be pretty, how should I say this, divisive regarding award season. But Tassa and Taylor are at this music award show called The Talent. Now, let's get the history of The Talent down. The Talent Award is infamous regarding representation and how people of color rarely win any awards. Also, the panel is not very diverse and consists of no white males younger than 50. But this may be different. So we get to the Best Song of the Year award and are down to these two contestants. Tassa and Taylor's songs have been the most downloaded and played. Both music videos have the most views within the past year, but Tassa has an edge since her song was played more. It was more popular amongst the people. The only thing that will hold Tassa back is the genre of music that she's in, since rap rap music is not that popular amongst older white Americans. And to Tassa's fears, Taylor won the Best Song of the Year award, and is the third white woman out of 55 winners in the Talent of the History World. All other winners were white males. Though this is an accomplishment for women, and I'll say this, women, no matter what color, should be celebrated when they make a milestone, but something here feels off. Tassa had the most views. Her song was played more and rated higher than Taylor's, but yet she lost. So, Tassa takes her anger out on social media and says that the reason for why she lost is because that hip-hop historically is a Black or African American music genre, and all the panelists are white, so of course they would pick Taylor. Taylor doesn't like this response and says that Tassa shouldn't use her race to divide them since they're both women and already face enough discrimination. Now, here is when intersectionality comes into play, because intersectionality realizes the context of Tassa's response, especially since she's an African American woman. History is important regarding intersectionality, and the history of recognizing the discrimination towards African American culture and African American women is lackluster, to say the least. Black women must first deal with being African American and carry all the baggage of being Black in this country. Now, add the fact that, well, they're women in the most sexist population since the ancient Greeks, and you have the recipe for probably the most rejected types of people in American society. Black women can join the cause of feminism as much as they like. Still, they will always experience different discriminations and have different viewpoints about what's right, wrong, and important because they're African American women. Intersectionality highlights this. It takes that particular perspective that only African American women can have and say, hey, this viewpoint is as valid as their white counterparts. We can't ignore these people and their perspectives because they may differ from everyone else's. No universal rule can help everyone. Details and perspectives matter, which will inevitably complicate things. But it does put everyone on the right path to see what rules or social change can benefit a wider selection of people. Intersectionality, in this sense, is like the greatest friend of all time. This friend will never leave you behind and listens to everything that you say. This friend will never compare you to someone else and say that your experience is better or worse. This friend would just listen and say, yeah, we need a solution to your problem too. The main message to get out of this whole thing is that life is complicated. It's never just a one-way street when it comes to social justice. People have different perspectives. That's just the nature of us being human. So it's only natural that we listen to all those different viewpoints, because if we don't, we may end up creating more challenges than solutions for certain people. That's why intersectionality is needed, especially for Black women, since their experiences and comments about them are always rejected and deemed invalid. Thank you for watching. My name is Jordan Turner, and this was Intersectionality.